far as the historical background is concerned, we have to go to in the year 1962. What happened in 1962? The China War took place. Sino-Indo conflict on 20th October 1962. Okay. Now you may be thinking that what is the connection of the China War with this act? When we were at war with China, at the same time in Tamil Nadu, there was a movement. You must have known to C.N. Annadurai, the founder of DMK. C.N. Annadurai was advocating at that time for the self determination. He was demanding cessation of Tamil Nadu from the Indian Union. It was the big movement, and the foundation of the DMK comes from a movement that was related to the secession from the country. At the one hand, there was the China War. On the other, the demand of self-determination in the Tamil Nadu. And the central government was in a panic, a complete panic, and therefore wanted to put certain restrictions on citizens' freedoms, and consequently it introduced in the parliament the Unlawful Activities Prevention Bill in 1967. It became the act in that very year, 1967, and which was basically to deal with the unlawful activity. Section 2O, Section 2 provides the definitions of this act. Section 2O, in simple words, defined unlawful activity as any action of an individual or association which is intended to bring about cessation or cessation. Cessation means to withdraw from a country, and cession means surrender. Surrender of certain part, territory of a country. Or such action which may disturb the question of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India. The simple purpose of this act was, we will go by that definition. There is a definition, the specific definition of unlawful activity. What is unlawful activity? The act was about to deal with all those unlawful activities. But you know, in 1985, another act was enacted known as TADA, Terrorist Activity Destructive Act, and under its sunset clause it was repealed in 1995. Thereafter, after it was repealed in 1995, thereafter two major incidents took place. One was the hijack of IC-814, the flight from Nepal to New Delhi, that took place on 13 December 2001. And thereafter, the parliament attack in 2002. Because of these two major incidents, another act was enacted, which is known as POTA. But in 2004, there was a much hue and cry against this act. In 2004, you must be knowing the important leader of the Tamil Nadu, Vaiko, who was the president of MDMK, a political party. He was arrested under this act, and there was a hue and cry, much agitation about that. Ultimately, it was to be repealed in 2004. It was also repealed. So now in 2004, we didn't have any act to deal with the terrorist activities. Therefore, in 2004, the provisions like section 13, 15, etc. were added in this very act, UPA Act, and all those related to the terrorist acts. And that is the reason we don't hear now the demand to enact a new act to deal with the terrorist activities or terrorist acts. Because the contents of those previous acts somehow, not exactly, but to a wide range, have been incorporated in this act. And that is the reason it becomes a very controversial. No, right now, we don't have any act related to the terrorist activities. But we have all the provisions which deals with the terrorist activities under UPA 1967. Right? So let's first understand by the definition what does mean by unlawful activity. Section 2 provides the definition. There are usual definitions, what the meaning of code, etc. The code means the CRPC and what is the property and schedule, etc. etc. But the important definition is 2O, that is the unlawful activity. What is this? Unlawful activity in relation to an individual or association means activity done by individual or an association, means any action taken by such individual or association, bracket, and it is important, whether by committing an act, actual act, by committing an act, or by words. Have not done any act, but spoken some words, either spoken or written, or by signs, or by visible representation, and or otherwise. And you know the meaning of otherwise. Otherwise has no limitation. In last, it is given or otherwise. Three things. Number one, Unlawful activity means which is done by individual association by an act, by a speech, spoken words, visible representation, etc. What are those things? Number one, which is intended or supports any claim, which is only intended, or supports any claim to bring about on any ground whatsoever the cession of a part of a territory of India or the cessation of a part of the territory of India from the Union, or which incites any individual or group of individuals to bring about such cession or cessation. And it is very much clear. Obviously, it must be there. If anything which is related to the cession or cessation of the country or the Union, obviously it must be an offense. There is such no problem in this clause 2, subclause 2, which disclaims, questions, disrupts, or is intended to disrupt the sovereignty and territorial integrity of India. It is also okay if anything which is related to the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the country must be an offense. Third, which causes or is intended to cause disaffection against India, which causes or is intended to cause disaffection against India. And this creates the problem because it is a matter of interpretation. It is the subject of interpretation. What is the subject of interpretation? That is to what causes the disaffection against India, and which is the present controversy. Is there the difference between India or the government of India? Does it mean that if somebody is questioning to the government, is questioning the India? Are both different or are they same? And this disaffection, which causes or is intended to cause disaffection against India, this clause provides the space of the controversies. According to me, one thing may be causing disaffection towards India, and the same thing, according to you, may not be causing the disaffection towards India. The matter of interpretation. Okay, but anyhow, this definition gives the scope to bring a certain things under the ambit of the UPA 1967. Okay. The second important definition is unlawful association. What are the unlawful association? Unlawful association, it is provided in P, 2P, means any association which has for its object any unlawful activity or which encourages or aids person to undertake any unlawful activity or of which the members undertake such activity. 2. Which has for its object any activity which is punishable under section 153A or section 153B of IPC. You know, section 153A and 153B of IPC related to the causing the enmity between the groups, individual. Okay. Or which encourages or aids person to undertake any such activity or of which the members undertake any such activity. Everywhere you will find the any such activity, it also provides the scope. Again, it is a matter of interpretation. Which activity is, should, or which activity comes within the ambit of this definition, or which activity doesn't come within the ambit of this definition. Matter of interpretation. That's why there are so many controversies. Provided that nothing contained in subclause 2 shall apply to the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Because for them there were some uh, separate act like the Public Safety Act. And second important reason is because it talks about section 153A and 153B, which means, so at the outset you will find the IPC is not applicable to J&K. Now, this is not the position. The amendments are being done and have been done. So many amendments, and now all the acts like IPC will also applicable in the J&K after removing 370. You know, Article 370. You know all that. Words and expression used. This is the different thing. This means whatever is used, whatever words have been used in the CRPC, the same words will be applicable under this act. Okay. Now, which is the unlawful association? The central government has the power overall. The interpretation of this definition is if any association is notified by the central government as the unlawful association, that is the unlawful association. There is a schedule in this very act. In the last, it is given. Almost there are 36. No, yeah, 36 associations which are declared as terrorist organizations. Any organization may be taken off from this schedule. The schedule is given in the last, and the name of the association comes by a notification in an official gazette by the central government. For example, there are right now there are 36 organizations, terrorist organization in this schedule. ULFA is the very first, United Liberation Front of Assam, National Democratic Front of Bodoland NDFB, PLA People Liberation Army, Manipur People's Liberation Front, all Tripura Tiger Force, etc., etc., and comes like this: Lashkar-e-Taiba, Harkatul Mujahideen, Hizbul Mujahideen, LTTE, Al Qaeda, Akhil Bharat Nepali Ekta Sabha, Garo National Liberation Army GNLA, etc., etc. The simple thing is this: if the central government notify an organization as a terrorist organization, that is the terrorist organization, unlawful association.